The story begins with a group of explorers stumbling upon a woman encased in a massive iceberg, sparking curiosity among them. One of them urges his companion to inform the arcane court about the discovery, speculating that the ice likely dates back to the Ice Age. As the woman awakens from her frozen slumber, she muses over the possibility of having slept for thousands of years. Realizing that she might have overslept, the explorers soon learn that she is a former deity. Intrigued by the present era, she requests the explorers to fetch the finest player of the current age. The scene shifts to the bustling city of Ruin, where an announcer broadcasts the ongoing challenge of humans against 3 divine beings in a game of gods. Viewers from around the globe tune in as Theophilus, our protagonist, enters the city. Reflecting on his 6-month absence from Ruin, Faye notices the gods' game playing out on television screens across the city. As the apostles representing humanity struggle and ultimately lose all 3 rounds, Faye considers joining the fray as a challenger. However, he retreats upon being recognized by someone in the crowd, avoiding a potential mob gathering around him. Seeking refuge, Faye heads to the Arcane Court's branch office, where he receives a warm welcome from Miranda. Curious about his return, Faye inquires about the reason for Miranda's summons. She reveals that the girl Faye was searching for turned out to be a case of mistaken identity. Clarifying that the girl he sought had vibrant red hair, Faye expresses disappointment. Miranda acknowledges Faye's quest to find the girl who once taught him gaming skills, mentioning rumors of a similar individual. She insists on a private conversation and leads Faye to the 17th floor. During their ascent, Miranda discloses her intention for Faye to meet a particular girl, who apparently requested the presence of the era's most skilled player. Faye ponders the identity of this mysterious girl, and Miranda reveals that she's actually a deity. She recounts a peculiar incident from a year ago when a god, taking the form of a girl, was unearthed from permafrost and brought to their arcane court due to its proximity. Miranda elaborates that during a game of tag with humans, the god, hiding beneath the sea, inadvertently fell into a deep slumber, unwittingly traveling back in time to the Ice Age. Having unknowingly snoozed for the past 3,000 years, she now manifests as the avatar of flame in the guise of a dragon. Though her divine powers have waned, Miranda cautions against provoking her wrath, emphasizing her capacity to obliterate the city in an hour. Perplexed, Faye questions why they harbor such a perilous deed, to which Miranda explains their initial ignorance regarding her danger. Miranda assigns Faye the task of overseeing her, a revelation that catches him off guard. Guiding him to her quarters, Miranda expresses her curiosity about why the god remains present rather than returning to the elemental realm, emphasizing the need to tread carefully to avoid enraging her. Miranda deems Faye ideal for the role due to his invincibility, explaining that gods possess immense power capable of effortlessly decimating humans, hence the necessity for Faye's unique ability to endure. Entering the god's chamber, Faye is struck by the abundance of games adorning the room. He surmises that the deity must harbor a profound fondness for gaming. Curiosity piqued, he picks up a set of dice and casually rolls them, effortlessly predicting the outcome. Miranda, intrigued, questions the feat's authenticity, but Faye dismisses it as a simple sleight of hand. He reveals the trick behind it, explaining the technique of positioning the desired numbers facing up before the roll and executing a precise half-turn. As the god emerges from her bath, Faye is reminded of the girl who initiated him into the world of games. Miranda formally introduces Faye as the era's premier player, boasting 3 consecutive victories in the god games since his debut. She then presents the goddess Leche, leaving Faye in awe of her appearance. With Miranda's departure, Leche proposes a game between them. Faye suggests introductions first, but Leche insists that the game will serve as their introduction. She lays out cards for a game she devised during bouts of boredom, dubbing it Self-Intro Memory. Unlike traditional memory games, the pairs feature subjects and themes relevant to personal introductions. Should a card pairing with Faye's hometown be revealed, he must truthfully answer questions about it. If no match is made, no answer is required. Leche emphasizes the necessity of honesty as she shuffles the cards, preparing to commence the game. Faye requests Leche to reshuffle the cards since he already memorized their layout when she placed them on the table earlier. Leche is astonished by Faye's ability to retain card positions even after shuffling. She admires his integrity in wanting to play fairly against a god, expressing her fondness for him. Realizing the limited space on the table, Leche decides to levitate the cards, causing them to orbit continuously in a circular motion. Faye observes the cards moving at varying orbits and speeds, deducing that Leche added this challenge to prevent them from forgetting card positions once revealed. Leche introduces an additional rule, deviating from the standard memory game where matching pairs earn another turn. Faye anticipates the added complexity, but eagerly embraces the challenge. Taking his turn, Faye selects 2 cards, revealing hometown and blood type, but they fail to match. Faye wonders aloud if gods have blood types, prompting Leche to boast that her blood is as scorching as lava, capable of liquefying the building with a mere droplet. To learn more, Faye must draw the blood type card, which Leche playfully hints at. On her turn, Leche draws hometown and name cards, which don't form a match. Since Faye hasn't seen both hometown cards, he retrieves them, relying on his memory of their placement. Leche reveals she hails from the elements, a realm known to humans as the superior spiritual realm, where the gods reside. Accessing this realm requires a special spatial door, exclusive to humans. Miranda, monitoring the scene via camera, remarks on the gods' longing for amusement, which led them to grant humans horizons, enabling them to challenge gods to games. She outlines the 7 rules of the god games. 1. Humans bestowed with an arise become apostles. 2. Apostles can challenge gods to battles of wits using superhuman or magical ability. 3. All god games occur within the elements. 4. Arises can only be utilized within the elements. 5. Winning a god game grants apostles the ability to wield part of their arise in the real world, empowering them for venturing into the perilous, uncharted territories that comprise 93% of their world. 6. Apostles forfeit their playing rights after 3 losses. 7. After defeating a god 10 times, apostles attain a clear. Though the significance of this achievement remains uncertain, it warrants a celebratory event. Miranda points out that no human has ever achieved the feat of winning against a god 10 times until now. However, she believes that Faye might have what it takes to accomplish this remarkable feat. Faye expresses his surprise to Leche that she answers questions without hesitation, and she explains that it's just one of the rules of the game. Drawing 2 cards, she matches a pair of name cards and asks for Faye's name, to which he responds. Leche inquires if he has a nickname, but Faye admits he doesn't, realizing that matching cards related to a subject allows them to ask numerous questions about it. It's not a mere matching game. Strategy and wit are crucial, and foregoing certain cards can lead to victory. As they take turns, Leche draws a pair of blank cards, signifying she can pose any question she desires, a moment Faye had been waiting for. Leche exercises her authority and questions Faye about his true motive for getting closer to her. Faye, recognizing her formidable power, speculates that she might be a former god but just as potent as any other. He contends that having someone to play with makes the game more enjoyable, indicating they share the same motive. He admits he anticipated Leche seeing through Miranda's intentions, but he's content as long as they had a fun game together. Faye openly shares with Leche his intention to keep an eye on her, revealing Miranda's desire to uncover her true identity and motives. Leche acknowledges this, expressing appreciation for Faye's honesty and willingness to engage in the game with her. She admits her fondness for Faye and assures him that he doesn't need to maintain formality, as distance would detract from the enjoyment of their game. Faye, curious about her friendly demeanor, questions if it's appropriate, to which Leche responds by affirming his role in the game. She explains that the cards collected, dreams, hometown, and hobbies, reveal Faye's true objective, which isn't to defeat her but to learn more about each other. Faye agrees, clarifying that the essence of the game lies in discovering unknown aspects of one another. He rationalizes his strategy of not matching name cards, as it wouldn't yield new information, adhering to the rule that prohibits additional turns after matching cards. Leche then prompts him about the questions he would have asked if he had drawn the blank cards. Faye ponders if her response implies she'll answer his inquiry. Leche suggests her response hinges on the nature of the question. Seizing the opportunity, Faye inquires why she remains with them instead of returning to the elements, and why she selected him when there are more skilled apostles available. Leche reveals that she chose Faye because he's the only apostle to achieve 3 consecutive wins, a feat unmatched even by most seasoned rookies in the last century. She expresses her desire to clear the god games alongside him, explaining that she descended to the human realm to indulge in play but overlooked the fact that returning to godhood would be impossible afterward. Faye is taken aback by her admission of clumsiness, but Leche reassures him, emphasizing that she simply needs to secure 10 victories in the god games to reclaim her divine status. Curious about the rewards for winning, Faye learns that the gods will grant unlimited wishes to the victors. Astonished by the gods' generosity, Faye is reminded that no human has ever achieved this feat. Leche then guides Faye to a divine gate at the dive center, where she explains that she's been awaiting a human like him. They pass through the gate, arriving in the superior spiritual realm, where they encounter a towering stone god. Together, they engage in a game of hide and seek with the gods. This brings an end to our episode. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel for more of this anime. Then, the god destroys one of the buildings, and the apostles shield themselves using their ability. Some debris is about to fall on Leche, and Faye advises her to dodge, but she effortlessly destroys the rubble. Surprised, Faye questions her power, and Leche explains that she isn't using her full godly abilities at the moment. The story then rewinds by 10 minutes, showing Leche and Faye entering the area. The other apostles notice Faye's presence, particularly Asta, who wonders why he's there since he was supposed to be on leave. Faye explains that he just returned and was brought here involuntarily, and they are surprised to see Leche with him. They learn that she is also participating in the gods' game. A meep from the Titan gods' territory arrives and announces that no more participants will be allowed. The apostles release flying cameras to broadcast the game. Meep informs them that they will be playing a game of hide and God seek this time, revealing that God Titan has grown tired of battle games. The apostles, initially calculating their chances based on past game data, realize they must now play a game of hiding from the Titan within a specified area marked by a yellow line. Faye compares it to hide and seek and wonders if they need to avoid the Titan within the designated area, leading to the game's name, Hide and God Seek. Meep confirms Faye's understanding and explains the rules further. Faye wonders if losing occurs when everyone is caught, and Meep confirms that as one of the conditions for defeat. Leche realizes there are multiple ways to lose, and Faye speculates that the condition for winning won't be straightforward either. Merely running away won't suffice, and Meep explains that while winning by evasion is possible, it also carries a risk of losing. With the rules clarified, Meep grants the apostles a 5-minute head start, but the Titan god arrives immediately, negating the advantage. The game commences as Titan attacks one of the buildings. Returning to the present, the apostles flee from Titan, with the colossal entity in close pursuit. Despite their extraordinary abilities, they fear they can't outrun Titan. They decide to scatter and hide within the buildings, but Asta doubts her usefulness. The team's vice captain suggests seeking refuge in the buildings, and Asta agrees, attempting to hide, but Faye intervenes. He warns that Titan likely knows their locations. Indeed, Titan swiftly locates Asta and incapacitates her, causing her upper body to turn red. Asta's body acts autonomously, using her wind magic against her teammates. Faye deduces hidden rules in the game, understanding that those struck by the god's attacks become subordinate to the god. Despite being compromised, Asta continues to assail her fellow apostles with wind magic, slamming 3 of them into a wall. Titan crushes one of them underfoot, causing all 3 to change color this time. Perplexed, Faye questions the situation, while Leche urges them to flee as it's unsafe. They dash away, realizing there are now 5 players on the god's side, including Titan himself. As they run, Titan pursues them. Eventually, Titan ceases the chase, redirecting his attention to the others. Asta continues to pursue Faye and Leche, prompting them to continue evading her. Faye worries that winning will be difficult if Titan converts everyone to his side. He notices only Asta's upper half has changed color, suggesting she hasn't been eliminated from the game. Realizing there are more hidden rules, Faye devises a plan, which Leche grasps. They hide from Asta, and Faye executes a surprise attack, covering Asta's upper body. Leche touches Asta's lower half, bringing her back to the human side. Faye understands they can convert the god's subordinates back to their side. Titan realizes they've deciphered this rule and pursues them. Faye instructs Asta to hide as Titan approaches, demolishing buildings in his path. Faye and Leche resume running, but Leche expresses concern that they can't keep fleeing and wonders what they need to do to win. Faye recalls Meep mentioning that they could still lose by just running, implying that understanding how to win is part of the game. He ponders if they could win by running for a specific duration, but Leche dismisses this theory, stating they lack evidence and don't know the duration required. Leche smiles, noting their mutual understanding, and remarks that Faye grasps her intentions while enjoying the game. Faye agrees, finding the game thrilling, and Leche adds that it pleases the god when humans take their games seriously. Faye recalls someone who taught him about the importance of winning games and expresses his desire to win this one. He believes there must be a way to determine the conditions for victory. Suddenly, he notices all the apostles have switched sides and are now chasing them to convert them too. Faye and Leche seek refuge inside a building, then cross a bridge to another one. Leche destroys the bridge to deter the apostles, buying them some time. They hide, but Leche worries they'll be trapped if they remain in one place. Faye notes that they still need to determine the conditions for winning, and Leche suggests that their chances would improve if they had more allies. They realize that only the 2 of them and Asta remain on the human side, while all the other apostles have joined the god's side. Reflecting on this change, Faye realizes that the game combines elements of hide and seek, tag, and another game. Leche understands which game Faye means, and they contemplate splitting up, but the other apostles catch up to them. They divide the apostles between them, with Faye climbing atop a building. From there, he sees Titan systematically destroying the buildings, knowing that once the department store is destroyed, the game will end. Faye hopes he can reach the store in time. Titan approaches him, having used the controlled apostles to lead Faye to the roof. Titan attacks, but Faye remains unharmed. He declares that since all the buildings are destroyed and Titan couldn't incapacitate him, the game should be over. He reveals his skill, Mayor God, an ultimate regeneration ability that restores him completely. While Titan may think he's won with 15 apostles on his side, Faye reveals the opposite is true. They are the ones meeting the victory condition. He explains that the hidden game within Hide and God Seek was reversing, with the city serving as the game board. The game ends when the entire board is a single color. In this case, Hide and God Seek ends when all the buildings are destroyed or everyone is converted. Leche observes that the remaining task is to determine which side has more players, the humans or the god. Faye explains that their only way to win is by forming a chain, noting how the apostles changed color when touched by Titan due to a Staz action. He likens this strategy to reversing and focuses on distracting Titan. Leche agrees to employ the same tactic, and Stag uses her magic to align the apostles chasing Leche, allowing her and Leche to turn them to the human side. With 10 apostles now on the human side and only 9 on the god's side, Faye confidently predicts their victory once the building collapses. Titan grabs Faye, lifting him from the building, which then crumbles, signaling the humans' victory. The scene shifts to Faye conversing with Miranda, who praises yesterday's match for its worldwide popularity, especially in their city with over 70% viewership. She inquires about Faye's teamwork with Leche, noting their apparent synchronization. Faye attributes their success to their mutual understanding, suggesting it may be because Leche is a god. However, Miranda disagrees, revealing that Leche played exceptionally even in Faye's absence, implying his impact may not be solely due to Leche's divinity, reminding Faye of his past self. Miranda expresses her belief that Faye and Leche will make a formidable team, bringing them closer to completing the god's game. Faye promises to give his best effort, and Miranda hands him a card. Faye visits Leche's room and finds her reviewing the game footage, analyzing potential improvements. He learns that she has already watched it 4 times before she switches it off. Leche then inquires about Faye's wish upon winning all 10 games. Faye reveals that he seeks someone from his childhood, whom he affectionately called Big Sis. She taught him about games, but he never managed to win against her before she disappeared, promising they would meet again. Considering her his mentor, Faye wishes to express gratitude and hopes the gods can locate her. Leche asks if Faye has any clues about Big Sis. Faye only remembers her love for games, her vermilion hair like Leche, and vaguely recalls her voice and face. He ponders if there's a connection between them. However, Leche dismisses the idea, reminding him that she was trapped in a glacier for 3,000 years, expressing hope for Faye's wish to be granted. Faye reflects on the coincidence of meeting Leche, resembling his Big Sis, and they agree to team up for the gods' games. This brings an end to our episode 2. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our channel. Later, Leche tells Miranda that she and Faye have decided to team up. However, the manager points out that just the 2 of them don't meet the minimum number of participants required for the games. Faye explains that they sought Miranda out because she knows best how many people they'll need on the team. Miranda complains that she was already in her pajamas and was looking forward to finally being able to rest after a long day of work. She expresses annoyance at them for bothering her, and they promptly apologize. The manager then elaborates that the Arcane Court recommends having 10 or more team members because statistics from the last 30 years indicate that groups with fewer than 9 people have a winning rate of less than 4%, while those with 10 or more have a 9% win rate, and those with over 20 people have an 11% win rate. In essence, the more members in the group, the better. However, Leche disagrees with this notion because she believes it's better to have a team with just the 2 of them and include other participants who aren't keen on playing. In response, Miranda suggests they form alliances with teams that have few members and expresses trust in Faye's ability to recruit good players. Someone questions this, stating that it's Faye's responsibility, but the manager clarifies that it's crucial for them to find people who are compatible with them. With that said, she finally retreats to rest. The next day, Faye meets Leche at a place he calls the consultation section. He explains that he's already initiated a virtual member call since all team applications are digital, and if someone seeking players arrives, he'll contact them. However, in cases like not being able to reach a partner, it's preferable to have an in-person consultation. So, some players seeking a team might appear in the consultation section. With this in mind, Faye decides to wait there to see if anyone shows up while also contacting some teams to inquire if they'll accept both of them. He begins by calling Ashlyn, the captain of a team named Blaze. Upon answering, Ashlyn expresses great enthusiasm for Faye joining his team, especially since he's a highly skilled novice player without a team yet. However, when Faye mentions that he's also with the former goddess, Ashlyn abruptly ends the call. Confused, Faye calls back, and Ashlyn asks if only he can join the team because of the goddess's involvement in an incident. Realizing Faye's unawareness, Ashlyn explains that Leche doesn't tolerate insults to the game of the gods. After a defeat, a particular team became disgruntled with the games, leading to the current situation. After indulging in alcohol, they began to dismiss the games as meaningless, and the goddess accidentally overheard their complaints. Consequently, the 12 apostles ended up hospitalized, leading to what became known as the bloody incident with the goddess. In that moment, Faye questions Leche's behavior, who is at a loss for words and explains that she didn't control her strength well that day. Then Ashlyn, unaware that Leche was within earshot, expresses regret to Faye, mentioning that he can't accept the goddess onto his team, despite her appearance resembling that of a beautiful girl, albeit with a petite figure. This comment about Leche's physique leaves her feeling dissatisfied and somewhat insecure, prompting Faye to swiftly end the call with his friend and reassure Leche. Later, after analyzing their options, Faye decides to contact a team called Black Rose, known for their exceptional game analysis. He explains to Leche that it's common for teams to have someone dedicated to researching and analyzing game content, along with coaches who train them. So, Faye reaches out to Captain Yuki from the team he's interested in. Yuki confirms that their group is in need of new members but warns that they are quite selective, with many players failing to meet their standards. However, she assures Faye that she can secure him a spot right away, given his reputation. Expressing gratitude, Faye then asks if Captain Yuki would consider accepting another person onto the team alongside him. Yuki initially expresses interest in Faye's recommendation, but upon learning it's the former goddess, she panics and abruptly ends the call. Curious about Leche's recent activity, Faye probes further. Although Leche tries to deny any wrongdoing, her peculiar manner of speaking raises suspicion, leading Faye to believe she's lying. Under the pressure of interrogation, Leche admits to being idle for the past 6 months, spending her time practicing battle games with humans in the underground Colosseum. She reveals that her first opponent was Yuki, whom she traumatized due to her inability to control her power at the time. Disappointed and frustrated, Faye scolds Leche, realizing that they won't be accepted into existing teams. Feeling remorseful, the goddess explains that she only wanted to learn more about humans, even studying various books to better understand them. Understanding her intentions, Faye suggests forming their own team and recruiting skilled players, such as someone with teleportation ability. Coincidentally, a girl with teleportation powers appears, catching their attention. Recognizing the usefulness of her ability, they approach her at the consultation section counter. Upon hearing that she came to retire, Leche impulsively burns her retirement paper, leaving her bewildered. As the conversation progresses, the girl, named Pearl Diamond, initially refuses to join their team but eventually agrees to discuss it further over a meal. She introduces herself as a 16-year-old with 1 win and 1 loss in the games of the gods. Faye is puzzled by the girl's decision to retire despite possessing a formidable ability, especially after just 1 defeat, considering her status as an apostle. She sees the game as akin to a profession, much like athletes who strive to improve daily, garnering fans and recognition for their achievements. While Faye contemplates this, Leche observes Pearl summoning numerous tubs of ice cream effortlessly, devouring 35 servings before he realizes it. Later, Faye informs them that she investigated the data on Pearl's defeat, which prompts the girl to reveal the reason behind her retirement. Pearl explains that her power not only allows teleportation, but also swapping objects, as demonstrated with the sweets. In the match she lost, tasked with protecting the leader, her fear of being crushed by the god led her to accidentally swap places with the team captain, resulting in their defeat. This incident led to her desire to retire. Despite Faye's attempt to console her by highlighting the lives she may have saved with her power, Pearl remains disheartened. She reveals the drawbacks of her ability, requiring 3 minutes of contact with the object beforehand and her tendency to miscalculate time. Due to her lack of control and clumsiness, some colleagues retired after 3 consecutive losses, leading to her solitary victory being credited to her team's efforts. Leche expresses her concern that Pearl underestimates the gods by believing a team with weaknesses could win a match. She reassures Pearl that they won't falter for any mistakes during the game, as errors are a normal part of the process. Despite their efforts to persuade her otherwise, Pearl remains steadfast in her decision to retire, disappearing through a portal and leaving them alone. This reminds Faye of someone from his childhood who emphasized that games should be enjoyable. Wondering if they should recruit someone else, Faye suggests they find out which dormitory Pearl resides in, as he feels it would be a waste to end things abruptly. The goddess questions Faye's motives, suspecting they may be influenced by Pearl's powers. Faye clarifies that he doesn't want Pearl to retire because it could leave her with a lifelong fear of games, which he sees as a real loss. Together, they head to Pearl's room, but initially receive no response to their bell. They discover the door unlocked and, fearing Pearl may have already left, Faye enters anxiously. Inside, he inadvertently interrupts Pearl changing clothes. Once she's dressed, Pearl explains that she typically uses portals to enter her room, forgetting to lock the door. Embarrassed by the encounter, she reveals her admiration for Faye's skills since they began playing together, but doubts her suitability for his team, fearing she would only burden them. Faye objects when he notices several bags in Pearl's room. She explains that she prepared snacks to apologize to her former colleagues for their loss in the game. However, none of them accepted her apology, and they even suggested she wasn't worthy to face the team captain. Leche becomes irritated with the situation, emphasizing that whether winning or losing, the most important thing is to have fun and play together again. She also stresses that in a game of gods, it's natural for a god to win, and it's unfair to blame one person for a defeat. Pearl is pleased to hear Leche's perspective, but insists there's nothing she can do to change the situation. In response, Faye suggests a solution. They can help her clear her name by playing a game with her old team to demonstrate her potential. He emphasizes that while losing can be frustrating, it's just one loss, and she still has the opportunity to challenge the gods in future matches. Uncertain of what to decide, Pearl hesitates. Faye reassures her that they'll try it just once, and he won't pressure her afterward. Touched by their support, Pearl agrees to participate in a game of the gods with them. However, when the match begins, Pearl becomes overwhelmed by nerves as her former teammates stare at her. Before they enter the higher spiritual realm, Miranda appears and informs Faye that she had to bend the rules to tell him the day Pearl's old team, called Inferno, would play, emphasizing the importance of winning as they attract a significant viewership. Miranda also reminds Pearl that the whole world will be watching the match and encourages her to do her best. This increases Pearl's nervousness, but Leche reassures her that the goal for all three of them is to have fun. As the players begin to pass through the portal to go to the elements, the goddess starts to take Pearl. However, Pearl remains desperate, claiming she's not ready. Faye reminds her that they can overcome mistakes with victory. Encouraged by the support, Pearl finally gathers her courage, and the three pass through the portal, emerging in the sky. Suddenly, something enormous appears below the clouds. Faye recognizes it as the game against the god of despair, Ouroboros, responsible for defeating several apostles who lost the game without being able to do anything. Instead of being worried, Faye becomes excited at the idea of challenging the god at his own game. As they enter the game through the portal, they find themselves falling from the sky. They realize they're up against the god of despair, named Ouroboros. Faye explains that nobody has ever defeated this god, which excites him for the challenge. Faye then asks Pearl if she can teleport them out, but Pearl can only teleport up to 30 meters. Leche grabs them both, slowing their fall. They attempt to land on top of Ouroboros, but they're struck by some of its scales and end up on its back. After meeting with Inferno, Faye introduces himself, suggesting an information exchange. The leader of Inferno, Orvin Meskits, appreciates their assistance. Orvin mentions they've lost 4 members already. 3 couldn't handle the crash and returned to the real world, while the remaining member was eaten by the flying leviathans. Orvin explains that these creatures are usually calm but turn ferocious when someone falls off Ouroboros' back. The rest of Inferno isn't pleased about facing an undefeated god, knowing that some of their team members may have to retire after just one more loss. Orvin encourages everyone to stay positive, reminding them that their fight is being broadcast worldwide. They shouldn't reveal their weaknesses to the global audience. Understanding this, Faye notices the domain's meep, sensing its sadness. When Faye asks about the game they're playing, the meep explains it's called the Forbidden Word. The goal is to make Ouroboros say a specific word to win. Pearl wonders what the word is, but the meep reveals that discovering it is part of the game. Each game has a different word, making it an intriguing challenge for Faye. He observes Ouroboros' massive horns, impressed by their size. Orvin informs him that Ouroboros stretches a whopping 10,000 meters, making it the longest of all the gods. According to Orvin's research, there's typically a clue about the game at the head of Ouroboros. Suddenly, they're surrounded by an electric field, triggering a random trap. The meep warns them they won't escape unless they find the forbidden word. Participants start guessing random words, but none are correct. The meep belatedly reveals that the forbidden word is something they've said multiple times since the game began. Despite repeating all their words, none of the apostles find the right one. Faye realizes that ouch may be the word they need, and when he says it, the electric field vanishes. Orvin recalls that many of them have said ouch since arriving, confirming their suspicion. Faye ponders how to make Ouroboros say ouch, suggesting they experiment. He attempts to stomp on the god, but it only hurts him. Pearl advises against it, so Orvin instructs his team to focus their attacks, to no avail. Next, Leche tries to punch Ouroboros with all her might, but it doesn't faze him. Unfortunately, her attack accidentally eliminates some of their allies. She apologizes, but Orvin reassures her. Faye emphasizes the need for cleverness to win. The Meep then admits forgetting to mention a hidden rule, angering Inferno. Faye urges him to share it now. According to the rule, a specific action triggers a consequence, allowing them to momentarily try something else. Pearl notices the Leviathans approaching, prompting Faye to explain that they are natural prey for them. Concerned, Pearl expresses her fear of being eaten and seeks comfort by hugging Faye tightly. Leche becomes irritated seeing this, and interprets it as Faye being reminiscent of ancient men. She intervenes, dragging Pearl away and urging her to prove herself to Inferno rather than succumb to fear. Motivated by Leche's words, Pearl agrees to explore the area. As they head towards the tail of Ouroboros, they observe a scale that appears different. Pearl deduces that this scale might be Ouroboros' weak point, theorizing that making it say ouch will lead them to victory. Though Faye feels uneasy about her impulsive approach, he recalls Miranda's insight into Pearl's tendency to act quickly. Encouraged by Faye, Pearl decides to test her theory. He advises her to flee immediately after striking the scale. Just then, members of Inferno, led by Orvin, arrive on the scene. Orvin questions Pearl's actions, but she insists on her determination to win. Ignoring the warning signs, Pearl strikes the scale, triggering a response as it emits a laser beam, posing a threat to them. Faye's team survives the attack, but some members of Inferno are eliminated. Orvin suspects it was a trap, leading to frustration among the group directed at Pearl. In defense, Pearl explains her intention to contribute, but Faye reassures her, emphasizing the importance of testing theories to uncover the game's rules and victory conditions. Faye stresses the need to persevere despite encountering traps and urges against blaming teammates for mistakes. He disagrees with Orvin's assessment, suggesting that the incident may hold a clue to advancing in the game rather than being a mere trap. Faye proposes that attacking Ouroboros' tail could trigger a reaction, possibly the first hidden rule. Team Inferno disagrees, arguing that the attack could have been more devastating. However, Faye finds it suspicious that only 4 members were affected, considering Ouroboros' power. Leche adds that the precision of the attack seems peculiar, hinting at a disguised strategy rather than a straightforward trap. Orvin asks Faye about his next move, and Faye responds that he plans to search for the second hidden rule. Orvin inquires if he has any ideas, to which Faye admits he does not. However, he notes that since there is no time limit in the game, they have the freedom to take their time to figure it out. Faye ponders potential second rules, while a member of Inferno expresses doubt about the game's solvability. Another member suggests giving up, citing the option of unconditional surrender to Ouroboros allowed by the Arcane Court. Orvin rejects this, citing members who have already lost 2 games. They speculate that someone may have sabotaged their last game, implying they could have accepted defeat if not for that loss. Pearl apologizes for the trouble caused, prompting criticism from Inferno members about her interference. Leche intervenes, rebuking them for mistreating Pearl and suggesting they leave if they're unhappy. She offers to send them back to the human world, prompting the apostles to criticize her defense of a human responsible for their previous defeat. Leche explains that her frustration isn't solely about their conflict with Pearl. She's upset because their negative attitude is undermining their chances of success in the game, which should be enjoyed for its excitement. Others express doubt, except for Faye, who remains focused on the game. He comes up with a plan, intending to provoke Ouroboros into attacking them again. Orvin questions Faye's seriousness, concerned about potential casualties. Faye acknowledges the risk but believes their strategy will lead to victory. He urges them to keep watching, even if they're forced out of the game. Faye instructs Leche to strike the scale with full force, resulting in another laser attack from Ouroboros. The attack eliminates everyone except Faye's group, and it also prompts the Leviathans to turn on Ouroboros. Seizing the opportunity, Faye leads the others onto a Leviathan. Pearl wonders if Faye has deciphered the entire game. Faye explains that the second rule allows them to utilize the Leviathans once they trigger the first hidden rule. The Meep confirms they've reached the final stage, and Leche believes their objective is now to make Ouroboros say ouch. They determine that Ouroboros' weak spot must be its eye. Heading toward Ouroboros' head, they plan to target its eyes to elicit a reaction. However, Ouroboros retaliates with laser attacks from its eyes, making it challenging to approach. Faye realizes they need a strategy to evade the lasers, and assigns this task to Leche. While Leche navigates through the laser barrage, Faye shares a plan with Pearl, emphasizing the importance of perfect timing. Faye then leaps onto another Leviathan to execute their plan. Leche attempts to strike Ouroboros's eyes, but only manages to break the protective barrier, getting hit by the laser in the process. Undeterred, Faye tries to attack the eye with the broken barrier, but becomes the target of Ouroboros's laser. Pearl intervenes, using her ability to redirect the laser to the other eye, successfully causing Ouroboros to say ouch after losing an eye. Everyone worldwide celebrates their victory, and Orvin recognizes that they are all allies in the divine game. This means their defeat of Ouroboros signifies their victory in the overall game. Others express surprise at Pearl's contribution, but Orvin acknowledges that she has redeemed herself for her earlier mistake. Ouroboros then reveals her human form to Faye and the others, commending them for their victory. She presents them with the eye they destroyed, which Pearl identifies as a god's diadem. When Faye inquires about its significance, Ouroboros explains that possessing the eye allows them to challenge her at any time. She warns that the next game she chooses will be 100 times more difficult, though they express reluctance to participate in such a challenge. This brings an end to our Epiast 4. Subscribe our channel for more amazing recaps.